Hey there, welcome to my video. Today I'm going to be making a memory pillow using this sweatshirt. I'm making it for my niece who is named Hunter. And so we have this beautiful sweatshirt that it's kind of hard to cut, but I'm going to repurpose it. First of all, I need to iron out these wrinkles, which was pretty much near impossible in this because it just would not get wrinkles out, but I did as best as I could. And next we are going to cut out the part that says Hunter and a little border around. I didn't have much room because you could see I only had a few inches at the top to work with because of that the neckband. So I measured it precisely. You only have one shot to cut it, so be careful. And now for the fabric that is going to go around that cutout I made. It's a half yard, and that's as much as you need to make a pillow this size. And so that other piece I just showed will be the backing. Now I am measuring as well as I can. I want to try to get this centered, and this pillow is not going to be a square. This is going to end up as more of a rectangle, which I thought would look nicer because the name is so long. So I didn't want to put the rectangle in a square pillow, so I just wanted to make it all square. Sorry, all rectangle. And now here I am cutting it out of this pink camel fabric. Looking back, I should have done it differently because when you just make a cutout, you are not leaving much room for being able to sew it together. So looking back, I think I would have cut it out like from corner to corner, and you'll see later I sew it in such a way where you can see corner stitches. Didn't want to do that because I didn't want any seams on the front of the pillow, but it had to be done. So just for future reference, if you want to make something like this. And you can also do it many different ways, like making the panel on the front like quilted material or a bunch of different like quilted patterns. I made a pillow that was like that before and it turned out beautifully, but this one I just wanted it to be very simple, just pink and white. And so now this next step, I am putting that cutout with the camo, and I'm going to pin it all the way around. And I don't want to give myself too much seam allowance because I have that Hunter white fabric is so small that I want to try to keep as much of it as I can. So yeah, that again, if you can find a sweatshirt or a t-shirt or something that gives you a little bit more room on the top, that would be ideal, but this is what I have to work with. So you can see that the corners are kind of puckering, so I'm going to fix that later. For this project, I'm using my Singer heavy duty machine, and I also have a walking foot on, which I forgot I had that on, but it actually kind of helped me for when you put the batting on later. And I also used a zigzag stitch just because that white fabric is pretty stretchy, almost feels like a neoprene or something. So I thought I would use the zigzag because I didn't want any stitches to break. But I think that was a mistake, and I think I show you why later. And I actually go over it with a straight stitch. But we learn as we go. The straight stitch is a lot cleaner looking on the front. When you do the zigzag, I was able to see the thread. So you can kind of see right here, right? You see how there was like little dots. Those are all pieces of the thread. So if you do a straight stitch instead or over that, then it kind of made it look way cleaner. And now I'm just going in and kind of fixing how I attached it because there was the upper left-hand corner was very uneven and it was throwing me off. So I had to seam rip and kind of put it back together, and finally it got to a place where I was happy with it. And so now looking at it, I'm seeing that I definitely have to do something about the corners because it's not working like this. So I am going to pinch the fabric. You can see here I have pinned it from the edge of the white fabric all the way to the corner of that camo fabric. And I'm just going to sew. It's kind of like making a dart, I guess. You can kind of think of it like that. But I actually really liked how that turned out because it almost looks like a frame in a way in my mind. So I'm really glad that I made that decision, and I thought it wouldn't look good with seams on the front of the pillow, but actually I think it gives it a lot more character and I like it more. So this is me trying to get those corners looking nice and neat, and it takes a little bit of effort, especially on that corner, like the inner corner where the white fabric is. It was a little bit hard to make it look good, but just have patience, pin it before you sew it for sure so you can see. So see, it doesn't look bad. It looks cute. I'm fine with that. It's better than it was before. And this is me going with the straight stitch around the perimeter because I want to hide all the zigzag, because I just didn't like how the zigzag turned out and I didn't want to seam rip it. So I thought I'll just add a second row of stitches around the whole thing and it will just reinforce it and it'll make the edges look so much cleaner. Doesn't that look so much better than what I when I had it zigzagged? So that's what I did there, and here it is. We are almost done. So close. This is some batting that I had, and I'm just going to lay it on top and cut around it. I want the batting to be a little bit bigger than the fabric because sometimes it moves as you're sewing, and I didn't want to have like an area where I was missing some. So just cut a little bit bigger, like give yourself, a half inch all the way around if you can, and then pin it as much as you can. Just pin all the way around. You can pin in the center if you want, but I just pinned on the outside. This is the step where you could add in some quilting details if you like. And what I mean by that is you can go around the edge of the t-shirt or sweatshirt material. Like I could have used a pink thread and just kind of framed around where it was sewn, but the pink stitching would show. That would be very, very cute, but I wanted a very simple, clean look, so I skipped that. Another thing you can do is also go around the pink camo area, like a square. Sew around like 3 lines. So like make the square bigger and bigger every time. And that will add in a like quilted look, which I think would be very, very pretty. But I decided not to do that. And here I just going around the outside to attach that batting to the panel itself. And this is a kind of important step because you don't want it moving around on you. And if you don't have batting, that's fine. You could skip it, but it just makes the pillow look so much cleaner. And it also gives it some more sturdiness and fluffiness, and it's going to make it not lumpy. So I would suggest that you do that. And then after you have that batting attached, you're going to take the back of the pillow and you are going to put the right sides up together. And then you're going to pin all the way around again. And we're going to sew around all the outer edge, but make sure you leave like 5 to 6 inches I like to leave it at the very, very bottom. Leave it open. Do not put stitches there where I just showed you. I put my fist. Like if you can fit your fist inside, that's great because you need to turn the pillow inside out and get those corners out. So try to leave an open, like a hole so you can fit your hand inside of the pillow. It's going to help a lot when you're stuffing. So just pin very well. You don't want it to move around too much while you're sewing it. And what I do so I can remember on the edges where I'm not supposed to sew, you can see I have the double pins, like 2 pins next to each other, 2 pins next to each other, and that tells me like, hey, don't sew. And I'm going to start right on the outside of those 2 pins and then just go around all the sides, and then stop when you get to the 2 pins again. For this step, I just used a straight stitch, and you want to make sure that you're getting it on the inside of that first stitch that you made to connect the front panel to the batting, because you don't want that stitch showing. So make sure you're sewing on the inside of that stitch. An issue that I run into right here is that the walking foot is getting caught on the batting. So I need to take this out and I need to flip it around to the other side so that the walking foot will not get caught on it. I like having the walking foot on for this portion because with the batting and the 2 layers of fabric, it's a little bit thick. So that walking foot helps pull it through. However, the walking foot, like the plastic part that grabs the fabric and pulls it, is getting caught on that batting. So flipping it around really helps, but the only downside is now I cannot see where my original stitches are, and I want to make sure I'm not gonna sew it in a way where those stitches are visible and I don't want to have to seam rip it. So luckily I was able to accomplish that. It takes some patience and going slow and double checking. So once you have that, you're going to take some scissors. I like using these pinking shears, and you're going to trim the corners. Try to get kind of close to that inner stitch, but you don't want to get so close that it'll pop it open. So you're going to do that all 4 corners, and it's very important to do this because if you do not, your pillow will look really, really bulky in the corners. Like the corners won't look neat at all. And what I also like to do is cut along all the edges so that there's just not so much bulk. I want the inside of the pillow to be fluffy, not bulky. And now comes the almost the last part. We are flipping it inside out with that hole that we left open. And this takes a little bit of time. Just be patient and get it all turned inside out. And you're also going to want to make sure that you are getting those corners really like poked out all the way, because you don't want it to look sloppy. You want it to all look like it's matching. So just really take your time here and get everything looking really, really nice. You can even iron it if you want that just be really, really crisp, but that's not something I did. I didn't feel like I needed to do that because I thought it looked pretty good as is, and it's so exciting. Like, it looks great. I love the size of it. I'll get the dimensions for you and I'll put it down in the description so you can see the kind of size that I ended up with. And now I'm just taking some stuffing and putting it in. And once you get it to like the fluffiness that you want, it's time to sew up the hole that was at the bottom. So I like to pin it closed, and then I stick the needle in kind of in the bottom because I don't want like the knot that I tied at the end to be poking out. So if you can, try to get it under and like up. And then I use this method because I kind of don't want the stitches to be visible. So I kind of stick it in and kind of like snake it through. And I'm not like a great hand sewer, but this is just the method that I like doing, because before I did one where I was like bringing the thread over, but the thread was very, very visible. So I don't like it that way. I liked it this way. And we are done. That is it. It's nice and fluffy. I didn't stuff it too much because, this is a pillow, like a baby's gonna have it. Like, I want it to be soft, and I absolutely love how this turned out. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you have a chance to make your own memory pillow and that this tutorial will kind of help you out. And thank you so much for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you again very, very soon. And a future project, I'm going to put a different fabric in the sweatshirt.